a new aircraft order, 2 airline expansions, and a relaunch of a route that's been missing for 4 years. All that is to be covered on today's Aviation News Recap. But beginning right off the bat with American Airlines, they've announced a new deal with Embraer to provide further aircraft towards Envoy Air. American notes that the firm deal is for 4 new units to be deployed to Envoy Air, which is one of their wholly owned companies. Deliveries are slated to commence in Q4 2024, and it's for the E175, thus seeing Envoy Air's fleet grow further. The contract per Embraer is worth USD at $230.6 million at list price value. However, with most contracts, as I'm sure you're aware, there are substantial discounts often associated with such deals. So while the list price value is always a good indication, never actually assume that this is what the company paid in full. Envoy Air has a fleet of 131 in-service aircraft, with a further 47 remaining in storage. When measured by active units, the most significant aircraft type is the E175, which is where today's commitment goes towards. Envoy flies 107 E175s, which is really a staggering total when you think about it. Meanwhile, away from the E175s, there are 24 in-service units for the E170, which is a smaller regional aircraft. American Airlines hopes to grow this with time as it continues utilizing Envoy Air to its advantage for regional flying across North America. Embraer says that since its first entry into service for the E175 in 2006, it has really dominated the sector. Envoy has flown a staggering 1.3 million hours of the calculated 19.5 million worldwide for the type. Embraer adds that the 2x2 seating configuration makes it a truly ideal aircraft for short journeys, and many people love flying Embraer. And honestly, having had the pleasure of flying on board the E175 and E190s, I must say that Embraer aircraft are very nice indeed. Over to British Airways, and they've announced that they'll be returning to Abu Dhabi for the first time since the global pandemic. Abu Dhabi's return to the British Airways network means the route will complement the existing Dubai service. British Airways has had Abu Dhabi missing from its network for 4 years now. Thus, the resumption is certainly a long-awaited one. April 20th, 2024 has been outlined as the day British Airways will resume operations in the capital of the United Arab Emirates. British Airways adds the flight will originate from London Heathrow and operate year-round. The Boeing 787-9, an ever-popular aircraft that the Heathrow-based airline flies, is slated to operate the service. The flight will act as BA-72, BA-73, departing during the summer 2024 season at just after 10 p.m, arriving in the following morning at Abu Dhabi at around 8:30 a.m. It'll spend an hour and a half on the ground before departing back off towards London with an estimated arrival time of 3:20 p.m. British Airways also notes that its service towards Abu Dhabi come 2024 will operate into Terminal A at Abu Dhabi International, which is slated to open on November 1st, 2023. This terminal, previously known as the under construction midfield terminal, will officially be designated as Terminal A once it does open. For Abu Dhabi, the opening of the new terminal is slated to be hugely important to meet long-term growth plans and comes after significant delays to its opening, but it is something that many people are indeed excited for. The British Airways Director of Network and Alliances said, Abu Dhabi is a unique destination that is making a very welcome return to our network. With a blend of beach, city, and desert, it has everything our customers are looking for in a Middle Eastern trip, and we look forward to welcoming them back on board as we grow our footprint in the UAE. Air France has announced a pretty significant adjustment of its domestic flights, looking ahead with the removal of Paris Orly. By 2026, Air France, the country's flag carrier, has announced that it tends to operate domestic and international flights from Paris Charles de Gaulle. However, there is only one route that will be deployed from Paris Orly after this point. This has to continue per the public service order. The airline does say it wants to honour these commitments. A departure from Paris Orly is significant for the future of Air France's long-term network, especially when you factor in the Air France KLM group and how relevant airlines play a huge role in helping structure networks. Transavia will become the primary operator from Paris Orly in the future as part of the significant Air France network shift. This has also been made possible thanks to the inbound addition of the A320neo. Air France says the Neos will offer a 15% reduction in fuel consumption and CO2 emissions and a further 50% reduction in noise footprint. Between now and Air France's departure from Orly, the company remains committed to serving overseas departments alongside Toulouse, Marseille, Nice, and so forth. However, looking ahead, and with the removal of this airport from its network, it will generally increase flights from Paris Charles de Gaulle to meet the capacity loss seen at Orly. As a result of this commitment, they make known that Paris just won't lose any capacity, but it will be moved. Air France says that it is leaving Paris Orly thanks to a real shift in overall demand over recent history. The airline saw a 40% drop and even far as 60% drop in day return trips. Therefore, it does need to adapt its operations for a host of other reasons too. Air France KLM has a strong presence in Paris Orly per Cerium. For October 2023, Transavia had 3,370 flights, which did represent 34% of the market share that was available, whereas Air France had a 12% share. So all up, they had almost 50% of the flights for Paris Orly, with the likes of Vueling, Royal Air Maroc, and EasyJet slotted in between them. Meanwhile, over at Sun Country, they've announced a significant expansion to their route network in 2024. Notably, they'll establish 2 new routes from Minneapolis towards Montreal and Toronto Pearson. These routes are still pending final approval, however Sun Country says they're slated to begin in June 2024. Alongside that expansion towards Canada, Sun Country has a view of extending its schedule towards 8 new domestic destinations and seasonal non-stop routes from Minneapolis. This includes Albuquerque, Dulles International, Oakland, and more, which will be available now on your screen. Sun Country says most services will operate 2 times a week. This excludes Dulles, with the Dulles connection set to run 4 times per week. Thanks to the substantial expansion, Sun Country will now offer service to 98 distinct markets in 2024 from Minneapolis, a truly fantastic network coverage that it is building for itself, with a fleet of 55 in-service aircraft, all spread across the ever-reliable 737 family. That is going to conclude today's aviation news recap. I do apologize for my voice. No doubt this video was a little bit of a rocky ride. I am very heavily under the weather, but I still wanted to make sure that you had some content headed your way. Thanks a lot for the support. Take care. Please do also be safe. I'll see you, permitting how I'm going, at the exact same time tomorrow for your latest industry recap.